just some brief things that are happening in the world that you experience in your day-to-day lives. We experience them in the school district as well. And of course, the buzz in all the media is the supply chain. We've been experiencing that for a great long time at this point. And that is affecting everything from our cafeteria menus to deliveries of vehicles that we ordered many, many months ago and still haven't received. It'll impact anything we do regarding purchases for computers. It's certainly going to delay the last aspect of the referendum, and that is for security purposes as we order switches and cameras. They'll also be delayed, although of course we'll fulfill that need. It'll just be a couple of months later than we expected. Some other things are happening too in the district, and all of which we can find our way around, and we're supported in any number of ways. One, we have our own contingencies in place, but we also have the help of federal money. Again, I believe that we could have made this, handled this even within our own budget. We're seeing escalating substitute costs. We're seeing escalating staffing costs. We're experiencing things that I suppose that many school districts are experiencing. I had my meeting this morning with the other BAs in the county, and people are experiencing similar phenomenons where they are. And this is nothing new to the board. It's what you would expect. It's certainly nothing new to our staff. And of course, some other things that we're dealing with are increases in energy costs. We expect natural gas to go up by not quite double the amount. And again, these are things you're seeing at home, and of course they impact us as well. So we're planning for these things now as we build the 22-23 budget. One thing that's adding a different wrinkle is that we have very little breakage this year. And on the very positive side, that means we have experienced staff who are the most effective they've ever been, would be the correlation to that, I think. The impact in future years as we build 22-23 is that we're still relegated by a 2% cap. That is our constraint, and so we're going to try and navigate our way through that as we do every year. And we'll bring you more on that as we go. And I'm not going to talk too much further about that because the finance report will eventually get there, and Pepper will give that. So without stealing anyone's thunder, thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. President's report. The strategic plan survey is upcoming.
It went up.
Went up, yes. So just as a reminder, the board, we embarked on that and then got a little delayed with COVID, but that is out. And so I would just encourage everyone. That's really going to really set our expectations and our planning strategies for the upcoming plan. So we're encouraging everybody in the community to take part in that. I just want to take a moment and thank all of the voters. Certainly we had the election last week, and we appreciate everybody's participation in that. My congratulations certainly to Joanne and Rob Pluta, who look to be two of the candidates that will be seated again come January, and so we appreciate that, and we'll get Rob up to speed and get him seated on the board, pending obviously the official results being certified on Friday. And then the only last thing I had, I guess it was a month or so ago, our board meeting coincidentally coincided with the U.S. Navy birthday. Today it's happy birthday to the Marine Corps, and importantly, tomorrow is Veterans Day. And we have a lot of staff members and certainly students that do participate and choose to serve our country. And so we just extend our sincerest appreciation to them and all of our community members who have served. So. With that, we will turn to community relations.
Community relations did not meet. They will meet tomorrow morning. The focus of the meeting is on strategic planning. The strategic planning consultants will be with us at the meeting, and to ensure that the full board is able to participate, do know that this is open to others who are not on the Community Relations Committee. Michelle Bowes will be taking part tomorrow, along with 3 additional Community Relations members. And so I'll have more to report next time.
Very good, thank you. We have no negotiations report this evening, so we'll turn it to Equity. Clifton.
Equity did meet on the 15th of October, and Clifton will do the presentation. Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay, there we go. I couldn't hear the.
I had it.
Good evening. So tonight I'm going to go over what is taking place in the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department, how we're going to move forward, improving how people think and believe about how we instruct children with regard to topics around race, religion, sexual orientation is difficult because those topics are taboo. We don't talk about those things in mixed company unless we whisper. You know, we say things like, he's black, she's black, they're gay. And if we say it in a whisper, it's okay. But to have a conversation about those things where we look each other in the eye is difficult. And so getting our teachers comfortable with those conversations with each other and then with children. And by children, I mean kindergarten to graduation, because even our 18-year-olds that are in schools and those of us with children in college, they're still kids to us. So when I say that, I do mean of all ages. And so to get people comfortable with those conversations, in order to teach, you have to be comfortable with those conversations and go over the topics all the time. So it makes it feel like the work isn't going forward, but it is. And so, as one of my mentors, Dr. Fulmer, used to say, sometimes we have to go slow to move fast. And so we are picking up speed and moving forward. And one of the ways that we're going to do that is I've been able to schedule monthly meetings and more with the Equity Warriors, and that name will be changing soon. We had a meeting today, and they have a doodle where they're going to be voting on at least a name to bring forward to the board for approval, and then we will announce it to the wider community on how we are going to be titled moving forward. And the reason for that is, while we may feel like we're going to battle against certain ideologies and beliefs, we're not going to battle against people. And the idea of a warrior has to do with battle against people, and that's not what we're doing. We're talking about making spaces better for children. In order to make spaces better for children, we have to be partners with each other in talking about and discussing things and strategies that make those places better, not going to war against. And so it's important that we do go through the work of changing the name. And so we talked about that today, along with extending the work and leveraging our team members and doing more than being trained to facilitate. And so that's a lot of what they did, along with some of them did some curriculum work and some of them did some other work, but basically they were being trained to facilitate concepts and ideas to help staff members grow and then be people that other members of the staff can go to for help. We're going to do a little more with that with regard to subcommittees. So the committees make things and make a difference. And what are those subcommittees? We recognize that, and it came out in a survey that will be released, that like religious holidays, teachers may not know the different religious holidays that are happening. And so what happens is they give homework, they give assignments, and those assignments come due right after a group's religious ceremonies and weekends or days, and those students are unable to spend the time that they need to complete those assignments successfully. Many times, we talk about children advocating for themselves. It's often difficult to feel like you're advocating for something alone. And so you're the only one in the class that celebrates those religious holidays, and you don't feel comfortable with approaching the teacher. Well, if there was a calendar out that a teacher could look at and just try to plan around a bit, or recognize who they have to provide an extension for, or scale back on the assignment, that would help. So we're going to have a committee that looks at putting those things on the website, along with like a glossary of equity terms, so that we're all speaking the same language, so that members of the community can look at the website and see what those terms are, and then not only have the term, but over time start connecting those terms and concepts to links that they can then further educate themselves on the topics and the matters. And then, of course, there's curriculum and policy review. One person should not do it. It's difficult to do as one person, but it takes multiple views and multiple frames of reference, even if you're within the lens of equity, to determine if a policy is really effective, to determine if it's really doing what it's supposed to do and not creating a situation where it undergirds disparity. So with that, we're going to have those groups, and then we have support groups for teachers. And in looking at other people's work, I came across these educator resource groups. And part of the educator resource groups was about more than your normal identity affinity groups, but it also talked about ally groups. And that means if a teacher wants to be an ally, how do you do that? How do you do that work? What do you need to know? What actions do you need to demonstrate? Well, if there's a group of teachers that are already doing it and you can just come into a group and have a discussion in a safe space with people that want to do that work also, then we have a group for that. And so our, what are now termed Equity Warriors, will be assisting in that work moving forward so that there can become more tangible things that we can say, look, well, this is what we did, even though we always know that the mindsets, the dispositions and beliefs of our teachers is the real work that's going to support our children. I've also met with principals because with our principals, I found that they love their schools. Not only do they love their schools, they appreciate their teachers and they love their children. And they recognize the work that needs to be done in their schools that may be a little different from another school. So I met with them to find out how I could assist and we could assist them in that with still having a common through line for the entire district. And so that common through line is going to be mindset. So what we think is important, especially with regard to growth or fixed. And so a fixed mindset says, I'm not good at this, where a growth mindset says, what am I missing? How can I get it? How can I understand? And so we're going to have that through line so that regardless of what the January 10th Equity PD is, it will talk about growing. And if we can grow as adults and recognize that we have growing to do, then we can also recognize what children can grow and do, that they're not fixed in how they come to us in September. It's dependent upon us to give them what they need to grow and become better, but then we can extend that to the larger community because sometimes as parents, we're really hard on our children. And what we do is we suck that growth mindset out of them because we're born with the growth mindset. We don't remember learning how to walk. However, walking came with a lot of falls and stumbles and missteps and starts all over. And we did that with smiles on our faces. We just don't remember it. We learned how to feed ourselves. It came with food all over our clothes, and some of us, it still happens. However, it came with food all over our clothes, all over the floor, and somehow we learned how to eat. But we don't remember the struggles we went through. And so we forget that growth mindset that is inherent in all of us, sometimes because our parents beat it out of us, so let's not beat it out of our children. Let's keep them positive, understanding that you may not get it this time, try it another time. You may not get it that time, try it another time. And you keep trying, and eventually you will get it. And if they have that growth mindset about what they're doing in the 4th grade, in the 6th grade, they'll continue that into adulthood. So that will be our through line for what we are doing with staff in January in all the schools, and then we'll figure out more going forward. So I want to thank you in supporting us and everyone else in continuing to grow.
Thank you,
Great,
Clifton.
thank you. Anything else from Equity?
Nope.
Thank you. Guidance and mental health.
Guidance and mental health did not meet yet.
Okay. School boards.
Okay, here we go. I sit on the Equity Council for New Jersey School Board, so it was kind of fortuitous that we're following each other. On the 28th of October, with our virtual workshop that all of you had the opportunity to attend, one of the breakout sessions, Penelope Latimer, do you remember seeing her at Rutgers University? We went to one of her workshops.
Yes.
If you haven't heard her name, please look her up. She's phenomenal.
Yes.
She led the breakout session, and she started the session with some of the same things we just heard. She said, when you're doing this session, I want you to listen, learn, and advocate. And I thought that was such a great idea. Said the students that come in front of you, you build on the differences that each of the students brings into your classroom. Do we provide the best education for all students? And then she had us reflect on what that meant to each and every one of us. It was really a productive session. So if you have an opportunity to go, all of those sessions were recorded, so please jump in on it because it really got me thinking. I took a bunch of notes. Mercer County met November 8th this week, and the legislation things that were brought up were requiring school representatives to be appointed to each Board of Education and any district that includes a high school, which we do. Another bill that was passed requires websites, web services of schools to be accessible to persons with disabilities. And I can read the numbers to these if you want, but they're just, unless you see them, I'll be happy to share them. One more bill requires instruction and information literacy and curriculum of students in grades kindergarten through 12, and one that was just passed Monday night about suicide prevention. All student ID cards must contain the number of a hotline for suicide prevention, help, and support. The topic of the county meeting was cyber security. Whew, it was intense. The agenda was understanding what it is, trends, statistics, how cybersecurity incidents impacts our school, best practices, layered approach, cybersecurity policies, and what your school district can do about it. And I love the way our district has filters. We as board members get notifications saying this is outside of your group, and we get the opportunity to open it or not. And that's what I really appreciate, that we're not in a classroom. I'm not in a classroom any longer, but I still feel I have the protection of the district, so thank you. Our next county meeting is January 26th. The topic will be assessment, testing, and graduation requirements. And a new board training will be, if you want to do a virtual one for governance 2, 3, and 4 is November 17th. It's a self-paced online program. Governance 1 through 4 will be available only until the 31st, and then you have to wait for the next cycle to go. So those of you who need the requirements, you still have one more opportunity to quick get it. Let's see. A new publication, Fundamentals of School Board Membership, is now available at the New Jersey School Board's website. Things board members need to know about our roles in the community, committee versus whole board. It's a great refresher course, and anyone that's interested in considering getting certifications, which Pepper just got hers a while ago, I've been happy to receive all 3 of the certifications. So if you're interested, this book is really kind of like your Cliff Notes. So jump on that and refresh what our roles are. I did go to the county leadership, which happens once a month, November 1st, 5:30 to 7, and the discussion was basically all about the workshop. The one person I really would love you, if you want to go back again to listen to some of the recorded ones, there was a student who was a keynote speaker. She was on the spectrum and spoke so eloquently, and I loved her vantage point because a lot of times we hear from staff, we hear from parents, we don't really get an opportunity to listen to the students. And her perspectives were amazing, so please, you'll really enjoy listening to her. And we, as a board, I'd love your input. We are looking for March 24th. We've always done the 8th grade dialogue. I'm considering that maybe our district wants to switch to the Unsung Heroes program, which looks at high school students. It looks at students that have been struggling and how they succeeded. And a staff member, or it could be a high school counselor, it could be a principal, they recommend the student. And the administrator or whoever recommends them writes a little paragraph about them, and they are the unsung hero. And it's just so special to see a student succeed in spite of adversity and shine. So I'd love to get your input, whether we stay with the 8th grade dialogue or we switch it up a little bit. LTEF, many thanks to the grant writers, your time, dedication to our students, and our curriculum changing, adding, helping our students to shine. And I'd like to give a huge shout out to the grant readers for their time, devotion of scoring and decision-making skills. It's never easy, and we thank you all. Because we do love receiving those awesome grants, I'd like to remind the public these grants are possible due to the generosity of those who choose to donate to LTEF. Your money goes a long way, and it is appreciated by so very many. And the last committee thing I went to, Project Graduation, they still have a few open positions, and you don't have to have a senior to sit on those positions. It's actually better if you don't, because you get the experience for when your child is a senior. New fundraising event was discussed, and I can't wait to tell you all about it, but I'm going to wait until the date gets closer. I think that's called a teaser, so keep your eyes open for that. And thank you. Those are my committees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Town Council, I'm not sure if there's any report. Growth and redevelopment.
Hello, Greg Johnson, give me 1 second. I will pull up my report. The Growth and Redevelopment Committee met on November 9th at 7 p.m. at Town Hall. In attendance was Andy Frank, Chairperson, Maria Connolly, Vice Chair, Chris Bobbitt, our council member, and other members. We had several items on the agenda for discussion. One item was how to assess economic factors such as growth in the business sector in our town. Ed Freeland discussed available data from the 2012 census data for Mercer County. A few of the statistics stand out and are worth mentioning to you. And excuse me, I'm trying to read the small print. Median value of homes in Mercer County as a whole was $291,100. But in various towns, we had some disparities. For instance, Lawrence Township, median house price was $326,400 compared to West Windsor at $620,600. And in Princeton, the highest median value was $866,000. In comparison, Trenton was at $95,000. Also, in the category of per capita retail sales, Lawrence Township was at $33,086, which was the highest in the county. And this is because we have 3 outstanding malls. Compared that to West Windsor at $23,500 and Princeton at $21,764. Poverty rates was interesting comparison. Poverty rates in comparison, Lawrence Township was at 6%, West Windsor 1.8%, and Princeton at 7.8%. Trenton was the highest at 28.7%. Again, this is data from the 2012 census. We will get the new data from the 2020 census, but we were just trying to get some idea of our town and our business community. So the 2020 data should be coming available soon. Over the course of the next few months, the Growth and Redevelopment Committee will be surveying local businesses to get a pulse on how they're doing and to see what they need in terms of help. This may be very helpful to Town Council as they look to engage the business community in 2022. Our next meeting is December 14th, and our meetings are at Town Hall. In addition to that, we have 2 matters I would like to bring to your attention. There is a groundbreaking ceremony scheduled for tomorrow at 12 noon at 82 Alcazar Lane, Lawrence Township. A redeveloper is building a new house there. And the name of the company is Holly Nance Group. Will Holly is an African-American developer, and he's starting his journey in Lawrence Township. In addition to that, on November the 20th, we're going to have a high school academic Success Program at First Baptist Church in Eggers Crossing. It's available to all neighboring high schools, including Lawrence Township. Thank you.
Thank you. Partnership.
Partnership did not meet. I did not meet with Every Child Valued. But I did have a question. There has been some discussion with regards to updates on the requested additional support. There was an article that was written, and also I just wanted to follow up to see if any upcoming activity is happening.
Yes, Patricia, we reached out to the board at ECV and are setting up a meeting within the next week to go over all those matters and take that into further discussion with them.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. VOTEC?
Okay, the General Advisory Committee met Friday, October 29th. The meeting started at 12:37. It was supposed to be in person outside under a tent, but due to weather, we were not able to attend, so we had virtual. I'd like to thank Ms. Patricia Hendricks-Farmer for coming on virtual, and also Clifton Thomas. Okay. Mr. Orff informed the members of Mercer County Technical School is working with the College of New Jersey students for their teaching practicums. Dr. Karen Allen Gordon, assistant professor at the College of New Jersey, thanked Mr. Orff and the MCTS for the opportunity that this has given students attending Mercer County Tech. Applications portals for 2022-2023 school year is now open. And Mr. David Nash introduced the Business Partner of the Year, which was Genesis Biotechnology Group. Genesis Biotechnology Group has been involved with many of our programs, including the Health Science Academy, and also provides internships for our students. Mr. Orff indicated that they're starting a new four-year academy. It's called the Newcomer Academy, which was just launched with the freshman class of September 21. And this academy is for students who do not speak English at their first language. It also provides background information as to the courses offered for the first year of the academy. And the students will also cycle through all of the shops, which would be landscaping and others that they have, and they will choose which shop they want to go into, along with receiving all their academic requirements. Ms. Dana Heiss-Pugh, she announced the business partnership between Mercer County Tech and Energyme University, with the hopes of obtaining funding to build a separate building to grow sustainable food hydroponics. She introduced Mr. Peter Corrigan, who is currently employed with MCTS in our IT department and has been teaching our culinary students how to cultivate vegetables in the tower gardens that have been installed at the SciPec Center. Mr. Corrigan informed the members of one of his many businesses, Princeton Microgreens, and how he has our students growing microgreens to teach them how to grow the greens and then implement them into their dishes. Mr. Nash has also indicated he provides OSHA training, which is Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and the training is 1 hour a week for 10 weeks and is taught in person. There is no internet classes. Upon completion, students receive their OSHA cards. And anything else? No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Special education?
CPAG, along with Linda Mithog, sponsored a parent education night on October 19th. The speaker was Bianca Coleman from Behavior Therapy Associates. She gave a solid presentation on executive functioning, strategies and supports for students. So as, from a parent perspective, she gave a lot of really great education along with specific, very usable strategies that parents can use with their kids. It was a terrific presentation, attended by approximately 20 parents. It was not in person, it was on Zoom. And that's the report.
Great, thank you. Review of communications.
There are none.
We'll turn to our first opportunity for public input. We'll just ask you to come over to the podium, give us your name and address, and we just kindly request that you limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity. Martha Friend, 976 Lawrenceville Road. Just piggybacking off of what I heard Superintendent say, and I appreciated your direct comments about social media. I just had 2 questions, and I'm not sure if Mr. Van Heist, these are directed to you as the president of the board. My understanding is this true that if a seating board member knowingly disseminates false statements about the goings-on in the district, there would be some kind of censure or consequence? Is that true if a seating board member?
There could be, yes.
There could be. I wasn't sure. In the Code of Ethics, I wasn't quite sure. So if somebody did it before they were seated, we can't do anything about that. All right, and so then my second question was, and again, I'm not sure about the Code of Ethics, if there is a seated board member that makes disparaging remarks about staff members, about the district, about the superintendent, would they also be censured in some way? Is there some consequence?
There could be, yes, depending on the conduct.
So if they say it before they're voted into office, then we have nothing, nothing to say about that. Okay. I really was so impressed by the equity proposal or summary. You are so lucky here. You made such a grand decision. In Princeton, I hope we follow right behind. And what folks who have been referred to by somebody running for Board of Ed as so-called equity warriors, seems like they are in such good hands. You have just amazing work ahead of you, and Princeton, I hope, is going to follow suit. So just thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we will move on to our board discussion and work session items, and we have nothing for this evening, so we'll turn to our second opportunity for public input. Seeing none, we'll move on to our action items, personnel.
Okay. November 3rd, we met from 8:15 to 9:30 a.m. Attending were Sean Fry, Kevin Van Heist, Michelle Bose, Pepper Evans, and myself. The topics that were discussed: staffing update. The district is currently recruiting for an open special ed teaching position at LHS, LMS, as well as a nurse at the high school. Drivers. The district continues to explore ways to pick up athletic bus routes with our own staff. Sub-custodian rate. The district is seeking sub-custodians. Interested applicants should apply online. Compensation has been increased to $21 per hour. Grant-funded social worker. The district has advertised for a grant-funded social worker position that will support students at the middle school and the high school this year. CJ Pride. The Outreach Committee will be meeting this month to explore demographic and enrollment data for teacher prep programs in New Jersey. We discussed Policy 3159, teaching staff members school district reporting responsibilities. There were no suggested changing. Many thanks to the Personnel Department from all of us, keeping our classrooms filled with great teachers and staff many hours are spent by all of the people in that department interviewing, recruiting, and filling our district. So thank you. On tonight's agenda, you will find a retirement of Deborah Martin, amending account numbers, amending start times, confirming appointments of new staff members and substitutes, EDP positions, amending agenda items, appointing destination teachers and subs at various schools, approving sub-custodians, extending dates for leave replacements, appointing lunchroom assistants, tech students for the media center appointments, and sustainability coordinators at buildings. And also my favorite one that was on tonight's agenda, accepting LTEF's grant in the amount of $53,163. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to move P1 through P29.
If I could just amend that before we get a second, I need to pull P28 because I have to abstain from that one.
Okay.
So Tom, if that's okay, so it'll be P1 through P29. with the
Amended
removal of
28.
P28.
Understood.
And is there a
Got it.
second?
Second.
And with a motion and a second, Tom, whenever you're ready.
Ms. Bose,
Yes.
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Farmer,
Yes.
Mrs. Grover,
Yes?
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Dr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Santos,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Van Hise.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Is there a motion for P28?
Second?
Did someone make
Or,
the motion?
yeah. Are you
I'll
making the
make
motion?
it. I
Okay,
thought you
yeah.
made it. I was like, oh,
So-
all right, you
Have
go
a
ahead.
second.
Yeah. And who seconded? Ms.
Michelle.
Bose? Yes. So with a motion and a second, Tom, whenever you're ready.
Understood. Ms. Bose,
Yes.
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Farmer,
Yes.
Mrs. Grover,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Dr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Santos,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Van Hise.
Abstain.
Motion carried.
Good. And Tom, just a housekeeping item before we get to our CIA-PD report. Do you know that the roll call box for the CIA-PD items is missing? So if you want to
You're
take
going
care
to
of
give
that.
me a heads up, thanks. So while the report is happening, I'll copy it over.
Perfect. Very good. Thank you. CIA-PD.
Except for it looks just like personnel at this moment.
CIAPD met on November 2nd at 8:15 a.m. Attendees were Michelle Bose, Michelle King, Pepper Evans, Andrew Zuckerman, myself. There were three guests, Nicole Sassy, Dave Abram, and Cliff Williams. The presentation of proposed new Quest courses was discussed, and also the dynamic learning map. The Quest program typically has to do with students who were sent out of district, but they have transition classes, life skill classes, and core program. An update on the high school, some unofficial, just background information, data gathering with staff informally, the years evolving successfully from the rotational 8-period day to the 6 classes per day. The 4-period day with the longer 77 minutes and 8 periods, alternate A and B schedule are now changed, and 5-minute passing in the hallway, giving teachers the opportunity to do sanitizing. Going from the 2 to 3 lunches, 36 minutes apiece. It's a little bit longer, and it's used also as a resource period. Let me just go here. The 3 periods in the morning and then lunch, and students are dismissed at 2:25. It was also mentioned that for VOTEC students, there was an adjustment that was made, minimizing their impact, which now allows them to hold lunch in the cafeteria, where in the past they had to eat on the run. So that was an improvement for VOTEC students who felt now they have 20 minutes to eat in the cafeteria. Some additional student feedback. Courses, concerns, and challenges during the COVID are now being less stressful for students. They have the opportunity to meet directly with teachers every day and connect, build relationships. This has been found to be very helpful for the freshmen and the sophomores who were not in the building last year. Let's see. There are more check-ins and check periods with restorative practice, and a large percentage of teachers are being trained in restorative practices. Also, going forward, there's going to be a train the trainer for restorative practices. Research periods for clubs and advisors to meet with students has been very helpful. Students who were unable to participate in clubs in the past are now able to do so, enriching their high school experience. Let's see. Cardinal Nest, there's peer tutoring through advisors in the library. Students have better access to teachers for help and support during the resource periods. Guidance update with the high school, there is a new guidance newsletter in addition to the SMORE newsletter. Also, college fairs participation has been going well. In November, over 9 colleges are scheduled to visit, in addition to the September and October visits. In addition to that, counselors and teachers have been assigned to the visiting college admissions counselors and helping to build connections and assist with the college recruitment. We also discussed the dual credit courses and possibly increasing enrollment with Mercer County Community College, Rider University. Okay, this year's schedule makes it more possible for students to participate with the credit courses, so they're looking to that. And some clarification with the 4th grade curriculum textbook information. There was some information about the resource books that teachers use. They're not used in the classroom. Specifically, we're discussing the book All About Me. It's perfectly normal. It's not my idea. Those books are not used in the classroom. And just going along with that, just to explain the review process for any books that students use, librarians read through all of the books that are listed for social justice curriculum and process to add additional books to the curriculum. That's done. Anything literature-based or other, the content supervisor and our assistant superintendent, Mr. Zuckerman, review all books prior to, for June of the year. In discussing the funding carryover of the federal grants, they may appear somewhat higher, but they are, it's a result of certain programs that were not run in the previous year due to the COVID. So the money is being reallocated accordingly. And we talked about the LTEF grants, which were discussed today at our meeting here, and that was that. And also the Every Child Value was discussed, the program regarding an article that was written in the New Jersey Education Report. And that was briefly discussed and some clarification. With that, the meeting ended at 10:09 a.m.
I just would like to just add something. I just wanted to make a special acknowledgement of the great work that the guidance department is doing at the high school. Patricia briefly discussed the newsletter that's coming out monthly, and I want to just alert parents that they should look for it. It's amazing. Everything you need to know about guidance, from college planning, questions you might have, who to go to if you have something to talk about. I think we're on the 2nd newsletter this month, and it really is fantastic. So I just wanted to let the parents know that's a great resource, and thank the high school guidance team for getting that out, because I know it's a lot of work, and it is greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I would like to move IS 1 through IS 6.
Second.
With a motion and a second, Tom, whenever you're ready.
Ms. Bose?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes.
Mrs. Grover?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Van Hise?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Finance.
Finance, while the rest of you were in Disney World and enjoying the long weekend, the Finance Committee was hard at work. We met November 5th at 8 a.m. In attendance were Joyce, Kevin, Amanda, and myself. Tom was the staff person. I think Ross was in Disneyland. We discussed the DOE projects underway, which are the Slackwood School boiler, Slackwood School fence, steps at Slackwood School, the middle school auditorium, and the opportunity to convert the LIS locker rooms to more usable space for PT, OT, and small group meetings. Tom's talking about trading in 2 buses. I think he uses WeBuyAnyBus.com. Trading in 2 buses and putting the proceeds toward new buses. We'll have the Slackwood School roof bid opening on December 2nd. It's budget development time. They start the process by penciling in last year's budget on top and revising from there once the DOE sets the budget and the timeline. We know that we're over on school security staff, substitutes, and aides. The work remaining from referendum funds are public address system and clocks, door props and wiring, and round 2 of HVAC. Coming bids are door replacement, exterior lighting, paving, and cameras. The price of natural gas is increasing, and we opted to delay roof-mounted solar on some of the smaller roof projects because the return on investment is not that great right now. With that, I'll move SBM items 1 through 23.
Second.
Good. With a motion and a second, Tom, whenever you're ready.
Ms. Bose?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes.
Mrs. Grover?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Van Hise?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We'll move to our last opportunity for public input this evening.
The line forms, right?
Seeing none, we'll move on to our new business.
Okay, I have a few notes for new business. You'll see on the agenda, we have a high school nurse resignation we spoke about. We currently have a long-term sub who is doing an amazing job and assisting in the coverage. We've received a few applications already for the position, woo-hoo. And number 2, Scott Kleiman. Oh, he's an amazing guy. If any of you know him, he's a gift. He's going to retire at the end of the school year. I may have to talk him out of it, but we'll keep it on the agenda. We have some substitutes in Eagles destination appointments. We also have added a Grant for Cares account code for different appointments in order to pay for the extra COVID-related expenses for nursing and lunch coverage. And with that, I'd like to move NB 1 through NB 21.
Second.
And with a motion and a second, Tom, whenever you're ready.
Ms. Bose?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes.
Mrs. Grover?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Van Hise?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We'll move to our last motion for this evening.
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.